Good morning, everybody. My name is Jared O'Leary. I've been playing drums since 1998. I still have plenty of stuff to work on. I've actually been also teaching drums since 2003. Have a bachelor's, master's, PhD in music education. So I've got a wide range of experience working with every grade, kindergarten through doctoral students, and, drumming in different contexts. Most of it's been rudimental, concert percussion, and only a wee bit on the drum kit. But if you're interested, you can see in this stream and other streams how I practice and the things that I'm working on, as well as when I answer some different questions, because people will come into the chat and be like, hey, how do I work on this? Or what do I do for that? There are timestamps in the description of every one of these videos that shows like what I was practicing or some of the things I was talking about, etc. So you can find that. Or if you want to see the questions that people ask me that I turn into edited down, refined answers, you can find them in this drumming tips playlist. Right now, there's currently 77 videos in here that are available. And then there's several more that are scheduled for release publicly, a new one every Friday. The members' first ones are all coming out for free, so you don't have to sign up for membership, but thank you for the people who have signed up for membership. It does help me to create more content. Speaking of more content, if you go to my home tab on YouTube, under the home tab, we've got drumming, gaming, computer science stuff, because I'm a nerd. But if you click on the header for any one of these, it shows all of the playlists. There's over 2,000 play-alongs and drumming tips and live stream sessions in these playlists that you can check out. But if you go to the link at the top of any one of the play-alongs or drumming tips, it takes you to here. Waffle, good morning. This is my website. My website has everything organized neater than I can on YouTube. So we've got 56 chop exercises, we've got over 900 grid variations, we've got a bunch of timing exercises, 55 drum charts, over 400 marching bass stuff, just under 300 technique exercises, and then all the drumming tips, live streams, lessons, etc. if you're interested in that. Now, I today am going to warm up with grid variation, Flam 5's triplet, and we're going to do the Flam 5 on 1, but we're going to do it backwards to warm up, which is the opposite of what I did 2 days ago. And then I'm going to work on a different variation of Flam 5 Builder, and then I'm going to chop out with a chop exercise called Slow Paradiddle with Flam 5s. So that's the goal for today. Oh, and I'm going to stretch and massage in there as well. But let's go into... Oh, wait. We got to get motivated with Shia LaBeouf. Shia, be the great sage that you are. Motivate me. Let's hide him for copyright. Here we go. Shia LaBeouf. Do it! Just do it! Whoops. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success. Well, you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Oh, yeah. Look at that flex. We're super motivated now to work on our Flam 5s today. All right. Again, we're going into the triplet ones here for our grid variations Flam 5s. And we're going to warm up with backwards. So 1, 2, 4. Thank you for the like on YouTube. And so this one, it starts with the accent on 3, then on 2, and then on 1. And it does just 1 for each subdivision. And then it repeats that again all the way across the line. The next line does 2 on the third partial, 2 on the second partial, 2 on the first partial, and it repeats it. And then the last line does 4 on the third partial, then 4 on the second partial, and then 4 on the first partial of the triplet subdivision. Okay, so we're going to warm up with this, and as always, any one of these play-alongs, the thousands of them, you just go into the timestamps and you can jump to a BPM. Let's start off at 90. We're just trying to get our blood flowing, get the hands warmed up, and then we will grind out some Flam 5 work. always takes my brain like a moment to like warm up. Like, wait, what are you playing, Jared? What rudiment? It's called a Flam 5, brain. Flam 5, yep. That's the goal, at least. That first line was rough. Let's do it again. This variation is a fun variation of grid to work on. Playing it backwards. You can even go forward and then straight into playing backwards. Trying to find a good comfy tempo that will sit with. Apparently my speaking hasn't warmed up yet. Got to work that up slowly with the metronome. It'll make it so I can talk. Oops! I played the first line. You did. Sticks are sliding. All right, last rep. Now, this is just one of many variations for Flam 5. There are 27 videos in this playlist that are play-alongs. And if we go back here, then under the 16th note variation of the Flam 5s, we've got 30 in here. So there's a lot of different variations for Flam 5s that you can work on and whatnot. But we're going to go ahead and stretch and massage. Now that we got the blood flowing, let's do this. Everybody just don't know why people don't use your channel. Videos help you a lot. Hey, I'm really happy to hear that. More people are starting to use it, but there's the long answer. I'll try and keep it really short. Part of it has to do with the way that these videos are designed. It works against me. So, for example, this is an hour and 16 minutes. If somebody works on this, they might spend 10 or 20 minutes working on it, which is a lot of time to like spend on one exercise to practice, which is great. But YouTube looks at that and goes, well, you only watched like a small percentage of this video, especially the ones that are longer, like, I don't know, some of these technique exercises. Like some of these are a few hours long. This one's 4 hours long. So somebody like plays through this one, even if they spend like half an hour on it, YouTube's going to be like, they didn't really like this, so we're not going to share this with other people. So like I'm at a severe disadvantage with these play-alongs and whatnot in terms of the algorithm. So right now, what I'm having to rely on are three main things. One are the lesson videos, like the scripted ones that I create. Two are the drumming shorts that I make, where I share like one of the tips from these drumming tips videos, and then that kind of points people towards it. And then three is just word of mouth. So like that's what I'm relying on right now. But more people are using it, so we'll get there. We'll get there. One day I'll turn a profit. One day. Until then. I will not. All right. Take your sticks. We're going to stretch and massage. Hold them like this. Pull in, push through, Yeah. This is a really good stretch along the sides of the forearms. And we're going to exit the way that you came into it. Just go in reverse. If you do traditional, rotate and hold right here for like 20 or 30 seconds, and then rotate and hold to the other end of the extreme. This helps with that rotation and whatnot. But I'm going to stretch the underside of the forearm. So you could do it like this. Ooh, you could do it 2 fingers at a time and then 2 fingers at a time. That's a deeper stretch. You could do it on the wall like I did the other day. Or you could do it on your pad or your drum or a younger sibling, whatever. Only child. I don't know how siblings behave. You go through whole videos? Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I've got over 400 more currently scheduled. So all those ones that say members first are scheduled to release for free. So we've got over a year's worth of content coming out. And I've got so many more ideas like written down on a long list. So stay tuned. Creating content every day. Yesterday I made an hour and 12 minutes worth of drumming tips, like edited down. So those will be coming out in the drumming tips playlist, etc. We're now going to stretch the top side of the forearms. Could do it like this. You could do it on the wall. The higher you go, the deeper the stretch. You could do this on your legs. You could do this like this. Thank you for the react on YouTube. Yeah, lots more content. Even though like growth is slow and money is almost non-existent, like one of them, it took me over 80 hours, 80 hours to create one of the videos, and so far it's made like 16 cents for one of the slow fast low play longs. The ROI is not great, but you know what? It's helping people around the world. Eventually, I'll make maybe $1 off of that video. We're now stretching thumb to thumb. Trying to relax the fingers. Then we're going to massage, and then we're going to work on the rudiment builder, variation 2 for Flam 5s. 2 days ago, we did variation 3. Maybe 2 days from now, we do variation 1. Who knows? Who knows? Depends on how my hands are feeling and what I feel like I need to improve. Which is a lot. Always practicing. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of prep offline for trying to help people find these free resources because there's so many, and again, because the algorithm is against me. So we'll see if those efforts pay off. I worked at a nonprofit, like creating a bunch of educational resources online on YouTube and like lesson plans and things like that. And it took a while for those to get used by a lot of people, but then the content was used by over 1 million students and teachers. So I know it'll grow. I know I can make content that is of value to somebody. I just gotta be patient and consistent with my efforts. Okay, now I'm gonna massage the palm. So I'm doing thumb massaging the palm and fingers massaging the back of the hand. And then we're going to massage the fingers, and then we're going to get back into Flam 5 grind. My hands feel good this morning so far. Okay, so I'm massaging base to tip of each one of the fingers. $1 million. Oh, ASMR. Enjoy that pop. Free of charge. You don't even have to be a member to experience that. Okay, so we're going to go down into the technique exercises. It's just under 300 of those. Under the rudiment builders playlist right here, we've got like play-alongs in here that like help you build your paradiddles, your paradiddle-diddles, your cheeses, your flam drags, etc. We're going to do Flam 5. Excuse me. 2 days ago, we did the variation 3. So today we're going to do this one. So in this exercise, it keeps the Flam 5 breakdowns and the Flam 5s themselves all on one, while it moves the accent around. So it permutates it. So the accent's on 1, the first line, the accent's on 2, the second line, and then on the third line, the accent's on 3. Okay, so we are gonna do this at 40. Count you off. Again, there's timestamps in the description, so you can play faster if you want. I highly recommend going slow if you really want to improve your technique and your chops. Thank you for like on YouTube. Good morning. Tyler, how you doing? Thank you. We've got the variations for Flam drags, cheese, Flam 5s. And we've got multiple different versions of this. So this is number 2, but there's also 3, there's also 1. Just killing some time. Nice, nice. Always at it. If I'm not if I'm not live, odds are I'm working. Creating, I guess I should say. It's a privilege to be able to create content that I enjoy making, having been in jobs that I did not enjoy. But if I'm not live, then I'm probably editing a video, writing a script, or creating a play-along, or hanging out with my wife. That's basically all I do. A little early on those. So this is a great exercise to help prepare you for playing grid variations with Flam 5s, but so is variation 3. If you need something more basic, check out variation 1. And again, you can do that for cheeses, drags, 5s, or even Flam accents. There's a breakdown for that one. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that you're working with the WGI group. I enjoyed teaching a group that eventually became Dark Sky. A lot of the staff went over to there and taught a Dark Sky. WGI is cool. If I had to pick, though, between WGI and DCI, I'd probably pick DCI. Oops. But that's just my preference. Mainly because there's more time to clean things, and it's less about the GE, and it's more about throwing down some notes. I'm not saying you can't, like, throw down some notes in WGI, because you certainly can. What are you talking about? I've never made a mistake in my life, ever. I'm flawless. Ender, hello on TikTok. Dark Sky needs to get into finals. Yeah, I hope they do. The Woodards are some good people. I enjoyed working with him. All jokes aside, it is kind of funny, like the comments that I'll get. when I do make a mistake, it's like, that's the only thing you found wrong with that playing? Listen again. I need to relax the accents more. So afraid of hitting this microphone. So close. Yeah, I hear you. I wish more people practice slow. I hope that as these, like, the content I create slowly makes its way out to more people, that people actually stop in and see that the tips that I recommend with practicing slow, like the majority of my streams, I'm practicing slow. And I've been playing since 98. It's not like I'm like, yeah, practice slow, and then all I do is play fast. No. It's so important. Oops. If I were to do like an audition, a very simple exercise that I'd ask people to do would be just play Flam accent triplet grid at 40. Show me you have control of your taps. Like, if it comes down to, like, two people who is like, which person should we choose? All right, play this exercise at 40. Show me that you have done the work. Gotta stop pecking on the tap-offs, I'm sorry. Too many people, especially high school kids, younger drummers, are like, oh, I need to play fast. No. Play slow. Or like, I need to learn show material from famous drum corps. No. Refine the basics. You're not going to get to an audition and they're going to be like, what show licks do you know? They're going to be like, how good is your 8 on a hand? Yeah, your comments about the, like, smooth, whoa, stop. Like, upstrokes and whatnot, like, if you're to play, like, stick control or something like it, and having that continuous motion with that left hand, that single left hand, it's just, like, so many groups don't understand. You gotta practice slow with the fast technique and whatnot. And so, like, there was, back when I was marching, the snare line, we were working on stick control with the snare tech, and I was doing that slow motion when we were playing slow, like, I'm over-exaggerating here. And the snare tech was kind of looking at me. He was just like, why are you doing it that way? But didn't say anything. And then when we finally, like, just kept going up 10, 15 clicks at a time, etc., we got the faster speeds, and the rest of the snare line was playing, like, like this super articulated downstroke and whatnot. And then he was like, oh, that's why you were practicing that way. So we had to start all the way over again. And the snare line had to play that way. It was funny. It's the little things. Does this actually go up 1 BPM the whole way? Or does it start going in other amounts? Oh, no, it goes up the whole way. Every single one of these play-alongs, there's like thousands, plural, of them. They all go up 1 click at a time. So this one started at 40, but you could, like, hey, I want to play this at 191. And then it counts you off. okay, maybe that's too fast for you. I'm gonna want to play this at 76. And then it counts you off. So like every one of these play-alongs, whether it's like RCC's Maury Spree or Triplet Diddle or Flam Drag, Triplet Grid, whatever, they all do that. Shoot, what speed was I at? Oh, you know what we can do? We can check the instant replay. 46. Okay, good to know. We have consulted the instant replay. Do. Often learning DCI beats, but whenever people ask. Yes. Yeah, no, I hear you. Like I love chop exercises. I love playing through them. But there's a reason why there's like just under 300 technique exercises and only like what 56 chop exercises. And there's like over 900 grid variations. Is because the chop exercises are not really going to get you where you want to go with your playing. They're fun to play, but spend like 10-20% of your time, not the majority of your time working on them. They're like the candy. You got to get your protein, your vegetables in. Yeah, that's a really good good thing to point them towards. Rennick is at least like SCV, modern SCV with Rennick, whoops, is very big on fundamentals and the mental side of drumming. I got a lesson with him and totally had myself because I was overthinking everything he was talking about and I just played terribly. But yeah, learned a lot from him. And then a student who worked with him for many years. One of my instructors. But yeah, the fundamentals, like, a lot of that changed probably in the early 2000s. A lot of it because of Murray Gussick with Vanguard. And they started to have more entertaining lots. And more groups started writing more exercises that were like fun to listen to and play. But then that kind of shifted the groups away from like cadets or even like Vanguard today. Exercises that are just the fundamentals so they can get through the warm-up quick and then just get to the book. And while I agree that it's more fun and the lots are more interesting to listen to outside of the book, what high schoolers don't really understand is that the amount of time that... Why is it? It keeps double tapping. Please stop. The amount of time that like a drumline, whether it's DCI or WGI, is working on the fundamentals outside of the lot. The lot is like the show, especially now because of like YouTube clips and whatnot, people sharing it. But a lot of high school kids will look at that and go, oh, well, I need to be playing all that fun stuff all the time and not worry about refining the basics. So that way I can get on that line. It's like, yeah, but what you don't see is like the breakdown of a flam drag for an hour that like the snare line will spend like working on in order to be able to play a single flam drag in that exercise that is more interesting to watch, etc. It's hard to like sell that to students. That's one of the things about like teaching percussion is like convincing them that this is what you need to do to be able to play that fun stuff is the boring stuff. And like striking that balance between it. But I enjoyed that challenge. It was fun. Yeah, especially like I like when they'll have like the mic'd up like the tech during a rehearsal and show like, here's an hour. There's not enough of that. Whenever I see a little bit of that, I'm like, yes, more. Not the like POV, here's what a full rep looks like, but like, here's what a full rehearsal looks like. That way, people can also see just like different teaching styles and like different approaches to rehearsals. Because I've had so many experiences studying with different people, whether it's technique or rehearsal or pedagogy, both in music education and computer science education contexts, like I feel like it makes me a better instructor because I can approach things from several angles. But if you only study with like one person and only stick with one line and rehearse one way, kind of puts blinders on. So you likely can't easily think of like, okay, here's our issue with our playing. What are 5 ways we can improve that? Accents are still too heavy. Book reports are fun. But yeah, going slow is the way to go. If only I knew like how to practice when I was younger the way that I do now. Like, this is no disrespect to any of my initial like instructors and whatnot, but the way that they taught me was like just like I would go home and spend several hours a day after school just like playing along to the Blue Devils drumline CD, and it was like very damaging in the long run because I was like sitting there and trying to play a like triplet diddle at the speed that they were playing at, or like Blue Devils shopping spree at the speed that they were playing at, etc. on the recordings, as opposed to just like slowing things down. And it's just because I wasn't taught to play that way, and I ended up with all sorts of hand issues. Also, because the technique they taught me was to like literally never move your wrist, and you just use your finger, with being able to balance a penny on your wrist. That created all sorts of nasty technique issues. If you're looking for some book report variations, there's under the 16th note grids, there's quite a few that are for book reports. Just try book report on 1. It's a little different than the extra notes, so it's just a 4 count book report, but it's a fun one to work up on multiple hands. So played off the right, played off the left, and try the backwards version, so the 1, 2, 4 accents. I'm getting better at talking while playing, but keeps screwing me up. That's on me though. I'm making that choice. But yeah, if you haven't, make sure you go to the website, which is linked at the top of each one of these play-alongs. That's where you can find those variations organized neater than I can on YouTube. Yeah, it takes so much mental processing to be able to play something. But when you do it like so much, it's just like, it's a fun little trick. Like, somebody like Anderson .Paak, who can like play drum kit while rapping, seems impossible until you've played something enough, as I demonstrate while messing up. Play triplet good while saying the alphabet. The last drum kit teacher that I studied with, Don Moyle, he would do like 5-way independence with different feels. So you'd play like a 3-4, 4-4 while counting to 5 and doing like 4 different things with your limbs. It was wild. Yeah, he was such a good player. Like, he's probably in his 60s now, but he started teaching college when he graduated from high school as a professor of drum kit, because he's just that good. He teaches Steve Gadd's son. So, you know, if Steve Gadd sends their son to get lessons from somebody, kind of a good seal of approval, stamp of approval. Everything he plays is just so groovy. He would say that he would spend sometimes up to a year just doing one measure, refining it until it would sound good. Everything he plays, it just sings. And when you hear like recordings of it, you just can't hear all the texture and timbre differences that he plays like live. It's just like, it's hard to describe. I'm glad I was able to study with him, even though I'm not good at drum kit yet. It was very inspiring to be able to work with somebody like that. Yeah, that alphabet thing is like something that Rennick would do. Just like a lot of, let's play something basic and then change it in a little way that like really messes with your head. There's a lot of mental stuff with it. Like, just play like a normal double beat and then you change to the accent pattern, or you added an accent pattern, or you like, let's play it backwards now, or let's play it off the left while you spin around in a circle. It's important to be able to spin around in circles. It's one of the most important skills you can work on. What I think is hilarious about a statement like that is somebody who's just stopping into the stream for the first time is like, is Jared serious? Nope. I have a computer science education podcast that I did a couple hundred episodes of. And on April Fool's one of the years, I made up a fake paper and did like a whole unpacking scholarship episode where I just like unpacked the implications. And basically what I said is that, like, if you teach a concept in falsetto where you use like a really high voice like this, and if you teach it to kindergarten students You can teach college level computer science. And I had, oh, it was great. I had like fake quotes and like fake citations. And when you click on the citation for it to like actually read the paper, it just rickrolls you. It was good. I actually had some people fall for it and think that it was like a legitimate episode. So I had to put in the show notes, like, this is April Fool's. Do not teach college level computer science to kindergartners by saying it in a high pitched voice like Mickey Mouse. Is not going to go good. Yeah, there are like some people who are able to learn like super advanced stuff, but so the language that I was saying like that this fake study was a C++, which is like super syntax heavy, and like kindergartners, most of them, probably 99% of them, are like you have to teach them like how to even find keys on a keyboard. So probably not going to go good if they try and do that, but conceptually they can understand so much. Like if you teach the advanced concepts, like you could even teach like recursion and stuff to young elementary kids, which is like sort of advanced technique-ish for K-12 students. But yeah, it's cool to see the progress. Like if we think of what you're just mentioning with like improvements in math for some students, but if you think of that in relation to drumming, like on Reddit, somebody like a week or so ago was talking about like the improvements that like drum lines of today versus drum lines of a decade or 2 decades ago. It's like amazing to see the growth, especially in the scholastic range, like the K-12 settings, to see just how much people have improved because of like the access to higher quality instruction, whether it's in person or online, or through like asynchronous resources, like all the resources on here, like all the play-alongs, or just the fact that like some drum lines are starting instead of just in high school, they're starting in middle school, and there's like some that even start in elementary school. And that's like super cool to see just how far it's gone in the last couple of decades that I've been in. I'm really curious to see how it's going to go like another 2 decades from now. Just how much are people going to improve, especially as more people start using these like play-alongs. Like how is that going to impact like just the overall playing, like the bass exercises, the splits timing that allow you to practice without having the rest of the bass line there. Like that can be a game changer for like a high school bass line and whatnot. You're funny. Yeah. So you know some coding as well. Nice. Well, if you end up teaching computer science, I got a lot of resources for that. Yeah, that was kind of how I taught when I taught elementary coding. Especially with the younger kids, you had to be like, yeah, here we go. We're going to do this thing. Not quite Mickey Mousey, but certainly more animated than the graduate courses I taught at university. A little different. Yeah, there's like high schoolers who are playing what used to be like graduate level like marimba solos and stuff. It's cool, especially in like Texas, California, the Midwest, where they have like full-time percussion staff at like the high school and middle school level. There was one school that was like near where I went, Corona del Sol, that had that. And they like tried to recruit me, but I was kind of like a loyalist. But we just didn't have access to full-time percussion instruction. Even though the band director for my high school was a percussionist and was good at what he did, he had to focus on non-percussion things, unfortunately, giving attention to wind and brass. They don't need attention. It's okay if they're out of tune. No one listens to them. Yeah, Tyler, I had somebody come in, it was a couple days ago, that was talking about, like, doesn't it create a crutch to, like, play with the play along? Is it bad for you? And it's like, no, it allows you to actually work on listening in and, like, hear proper, perfect interpretation every single time you play. The, like, space in between each one of the metronome clicks just leaves so much interpretation, like room for it. Like I had a concert snare professor who was talking about like the space between either quarter notes, like half notes, whole notes, or even like extended phrases for like I don't know, 2 measures, 4 measures, etc. And how you can play with time if you're doing like a snare solo, intentionally, or dynamics if you're doing it. But I often see like younger players will unintentionally play with time in between each one of the quarter notes. Like they'll land on the beat, but everything in between that is like, and we're gonna roll the dice, and oh, critical miss, try again. So it's like this keeps you honest because I can hear every mistake. This is crazy watching Japanese elementary students. Yeah. I'm learning Japanese slowly, very slowly. I want to go to Japan one day. Maybe one day I'll teach there. I don't know. But yeah, it's cool. But they, as a culture, as a country, have very high value placed on teaching and learning, and I feel like as a country, not to get political or anything, but to just like be historical with it, like our social capital associated with expertise in this country has gone down, whereas like during the space race and stuff, like after Sputnik was launched, it was like, oh, we really need to focus on education, like math and science, etc. And then it's been in the last like few years that I've just kind of seen like teachers have even lower status within the country, and now like experts having lower status within the country, and I'm kind of concerned about it. Hopefully this is just like nothing too wacky that's gonna happen, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'm just a pessimist right now, but I like just genuinely wish that we put more value on it. Like it's been several years since I taught in the classroom, but when I did with the doctorate, I was making like $45,000. Like that just kind of shows there's not a lot of value put on that kind of expertise and when it comes to teaching, which is just unfortunate. Like if you really want kids to have the like best education, why not hire the most qualified people who are then compensated well for it? But like $45,000 with a doctorate is just like absurdly low. Like I had friends, because I've taught music education and computer science education, I had some friends who were computer science educators who went and taught adults, like worked for giant multi-billion-dollar companies, but created like educational resources for them, and went from making a normal teacher's salary to making over $250,000 a year. The same kind of concepts and whatnot, but instead of teaching elementary kids, they were teaching adults. So that like kind of incentive, you just can't reward teachers to stick with the program long enough. Because it's like, why would I not want to like quadruple or quintuple my pay if I'm in like still able to teach people? Like this person had a family, like kids and whatnot. It's just, I don't know, it's absurd in my opinion. But I'm very biased, obviously, as an educator. Okay. We're going to chop out now. We're going to do a slow paradiddle, and we're going to do it with Flam 5s. Wish me luck on this. We'll see how it goes. This is a fun exercise to go with. But if this is too fast, which we're going to try and find the breaking point, you can slow this down to 40. And again, it goes every single click all the way up to 200. But this exercise gets the name from the accents in here. I should be concerned to see the experts are talked about. Yeah. The like amount of people who I've heard who have like an opinion on teaching when they've never taught a day in their life. I won't give details because I don't want to expose some of the corruption like of where this place was. But there was somebody that I knew who had never taught a day in their life and would adamantly argue with people who were literal world-class experts on teaching in a specific subject area, and like known around the world as being one of the best at that thing. And this person was an administrator at an organization that would adamantly argue, no, we're not going to do it your way. We're going to do it my way because I have an opinion. Like, wait a minute. What? This is not going to go well. And it did not. Because that person would all sorts of stuff. It was goofy. People and their opinions, like, oh my goodness. But then I wonder, like, what do I have an opinion on that, like, I unconsciously override an expertise on, and I don't know I'm doing that similar thing. I don't want to do that. Ideally, with like self-reflection and critical thinking, I won't do that, but it might happen unintentionally. So I don't know. Not trying to be too critical, but it's kind of goofy. Yeah, the confirmation or affirmation bias is definitely a thing. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of a multi-perspectivalist approach for learning things. And part of that came from like teaching, is just realizing, I got to be able to approach things from many different angles. But if I'm like learning something or want to hear more about like this person's being canceled because they said this thing. Okay, I'll go and listen to like that whole interview where they said this thing and listen to supporting materials and things like that rather than just read the headline. And it's amazing how many times like people have been blasted and in headlines, and then I actually go and read it and I'm like, oh, actually they didn't say that, but I can see how you could make it sound that way if you ignore everything else they said before or after that. And even though I don't like the person, I actually agree with what they said, and it's not the clickbait headline, etc. Anyways. Here's the accent pattern. Paradiddle, paradiddle. Hence the name Slow Paradiddle. And there are several variations with different rudiments that you can check out in the playlist. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, this is a classic exercise. This one's a good one. I like it. It's fun. You can even play it as a spree, where you do like the check and then drag, check, cheese, check, 5, and just go through the whole thing. It takes a long time if you go through a whole spree. Lup, good morning. Welcome back. I'm glad you can make it on the vertical YouTube. The interesting thing about experts is when experts in the field disagree, and I like hearing that. This is where my stick was by the end of that rep. That's why the page 2 sounded not good. It was just slowly sliding out. I was about to be at 2 fingers. All right, well, perfect. Let's try that again. I stream everywhere. Yeah, so on YouTube I've got vertical and horizontal. So the horizontal like shows like more of it, but the vertical kind of goes into the shorts feed, so like random people will show up. And sometimes that's interesting. Some of the hate that I get from people, it's weird. But I'm also on Instagram, also on TikTok and Twitch, and then I have chat disabled on Twitter and Facebook. So I just want people to find these resources. But yeah, so I'm live on several different places. So I've got several different chats up. Whoops. Yeah, most people like stick with YouTube for my content, but if you want to find like where I'm at, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Under the top of my website, where it says socials, this has like all of the different platforms that like I'm on in different ways. So you can find that there if that is of interest to you. If not, that's okay. YouTube is where most people are at. But thank you for the follow on there, on the Twitch. 140. Wish me luck. This one's a good chop burner. Dang, my stick just keeps sliding. I don't know why. Need to get some Gorilla Glue. Put it on there. Okay. 140? Yas. I survived that. That was mainly a stick slipping thing. 150. I shouldn't have put all that olive oil on my drumsticks before I started streaming. Thought it would help me play faster. My left hand in particular. How often do I retape? Rarely. I probably should, but I haven't done it in a long time, like at least a year. Because I'm just doing like practicing, I don't take these outdoors and whatnot. I don't really retape them much. But yeah, it's lost some of the tackiness or the grip to it. But hey, it's got the weight to it with these Hardeman hammers because they're like extra heavy, and with the double tape, it's great for chops. That's the tag. It's not notated. It's often passed down by rote, So just like watch that replay again and watch it at like quarter speed. You'll figure it out. We found the breaking point. Now, if you are on the home tab of YouTube, this is where you can find all these play-alongs. So that one that I was just playing is under the chop exercises. But if you click on the header, then boom, it shows you all of these playlists. There's over 2,000 videos. And there's over 400 currently scheduled. All the ones that say members first are coming out for free. It's just over a year's worth of content. So, you know, some of it might take a while. But you can find everything organized using the link at the top. All of these here, if that interests you. What about this? But you put floppy flams instead of... Yeah, you could totally do that. That'd be a fun variation of this. Yeah, there's a lot of like cool choppy stuff you can do. I've got some of them written down of like some more chop exercises I want to put, but I've also got a ton more technique exercises I want to do because I try and emphasize that with these play-alongs. Even though the ones that usually get the most plays are like the shopping sprees, which I get, they're fun. Taught at the school where all the bass mounts were literally sticky. Ew. Yeah, where they just like tape over the tape. It's like, no, you gotta get rid of that. Yeah, that's gross. So being in Arizona my whole life, like we, if you left your sticks in the car, they would like melt, and so like you'd pick up your sticks and it's like when you like try and take your hand off the stick. It was gross. I hated that feeling. But hey, at least the stick wouldn't slide out of your hand like it's doing today. You have a question for me. This morning there was an indoor rehearsal and my tech said I play heavy or thick. What is considered the right touch? Interesting. Well, this might be like a longer answer than you want, so I'll try and keep it short-ish, but there's many considerations with like, well, what is touch? Another way of like describing it is velocity. So if you want to think of more the mechanics and the physics involved, it's basically the amount of sound that you are getting out of the height that you are playing at. So if I am playing at this height and I play with a light touch, I might have a slow stroke from the resting position or starting position into the head, and have more contact on the stick and less space for the stick to vibrate in my hands, so I can like literally choke off the sound. But if I speed up the velocity from the resting or starting position into the head, and I open up my hands so that there's more space for it to vibrate, and I'm not absorbing the hand by squeezing too much, then you can get significantly more sound out of it. So the amount of touch that you want to get, you need to try and match the rest of the line. Or the center snare in particular, or the person on the inside of you, or the tenor player, whatever it is that you're playing on. But the amount of touch that you get can vary depending on all those different factors. So the speed with which you go into it, the amount of contact that you have on the stick, the amount of space that you have in the vibration, etc. So you can literally play at the same height and have a completely different volume depending on all those different factors. I'm just like sitting here changing it while keeping the same height, and same thing for like a low tap. You can have very loud low taps with very fast speed, or you can literally choke off the sound and still play it at the exact same height. So there's not a right or wrong way to do it. I personally, because it's, marching and you don't have a microphone, I tend to focus on two main things. One is a good amount of volume out of the playing so it projects and you can hear it across the stadium, but also playing as relaxed as possible. And those two kind of go hand in hand because, like I was mentioning, the amount of contact that you have on the stick is going to absorb the sound quality on there and whatnot. So when you are playing, there's like the rhythmic side of things that you have to listen into, like being able to play like perfectly in time with the person next to you, so the same amount of spacing between each one of the notes hit at the same time. But you also, the next level of that, once you get that down, is actually applying the same velocity and the same touch as the person on the inside of you. And that is the harder of the two things to do. Being able to, like, even if you're like teaching a drumline if you're teaching line, you can get people to all play at the same heights and play at the same time. But the really good lines are the ones who then make it so that everything else that I just mentioned with the velocity is the same. So you're getting the same amount of volume out of each one of the heads that people are playing on. It's kind of like brass players and wind players, but we just ignore the winds. Brass players, like, they get louder by playing perfectly in tune with each other, and so they really focus on the intonation and making it so that they're all playing the same way, but also obviously like breath support. So the more your velocity is in alignment with the person that's on your inside, or the people who are listening to you, if you are the center, then the cleaner it's going to sound, and the more projection you'll have as a drum line, assuming all the heads are tuned the same and whatnot. So that's a long-winded answer of saying it depends. It depends on what kind of a line you're going with. So you said it's an indoor rehearsal. Generally speaking, you'll usually have smaller drums that don't project as much. You'll use lighter sticks that won't make it so that they're as heavy. And you're playing in an indoor setting, which is very resonant. So you're going to try and play, generally speaking, with a lighter touch. Then you might, if you're out on a field, where you might really have like full volume coming out of it, as opposed to something like this, which is lighter. So yeah, that can make sense, but most of what I hear is the opposite of that. So when people like comment on touch, they'll usually be like, play through the head, and what they're trying to say is like, make it so that you're getting more volume, more like rebound out of the stick and out of the head and the surface that you're playing on. So most of the comments are usually like to get more heavier touch, but that's like the sonic answer to it. So like the sound that you're getting as an output. But there's another way of like thinking about this that some people talk about, is when they're referring to touch, they're actually referring to the mechanics of the hand. So with your hand, some people, when they say heavier or lighter, it actually has to do with their technique and like how much you're squeezing or holding onto the stick. So that might be what they are talking about, and what they might be saying in kind of a way that I wouldn't really phrase it is that you need to just like relax your hands more and allow for a little bit more motion in there. Like if you're doing wrist stroke mainly as your primary driver, as opposed to like finger or like rotation. If you're using mainly wrist, like if you're squeezing your front fulcrum, you can't bend your wrist, make it floppy like this. So the moment you squeeze, your arm goes like this, which is why some people, when they play a fast roll, it's a pumping motion, is because they're squeezing too much of the fulcrum. So maybe that's what they're talking about. But odds are, my guess is it's the first thing that I ranted about. Really good question, Brian, on Instagram. So hopefully that answers your question. I know there's like a 30-second delay or something on Instagram. It's like wild. It might even be like a full minute. Let's see. You have a lot of questions? Yeah, I mean, you can ask questions on any one of the drum streams. Feel free to stop in. You can even put them on YouTube in the comments. Like, I do respond to those, and every one of them. And I will often be like, hey, check out tomorrow's stream. I'll talk about that there. And with any one of these streams, if you go into the live stream on here, like I have the timestamps where I'm talking about different stuff. So like this one that I did 3 days ago. Please don't be loud. Please don't be loud. Okay, we'll mute it. Okay, so like this one, if we look at it, I was talking about how to relax taps after an accent. And then next I was talking about fingers in traditional motion. Then I was talking about 3 rhythms to work on if you're on high school snare. And then we were talking about how is Muller stroke different on like drum kit versus drumline, how to practice marching bass, etc. So like all of the prior live streams, you can find the timestamps that shows like the different questions that people ask me. But the drumming tips playlist is where I like organize those and edit them down into a more refined answer, because some of what I was just saying like repeated itself, and so I'll just be like, hey, I'm gonna get rid of that chunk, that rant, and I put it into this playlist that's got a ton of different questions that people have asked. So like each one of these, even though this one says is slicing on tenor is a bad thing, that's what I start talking about. But then you'll see like other stuff like how to increase volume, how to learn from the best drummers, should you buy a snare or tenor to practice on. So there's a lot of different topics in there, so you can see more different questions that people have asked. That's why good low end rolls end up cutting better. Yes, agreed. You're here too now? Hey, Minor Tyler. You have you've received, assuming you are the same person on the Drumline subreddit, you have received many upvotes from myself. So you have some good feedback for people. Keep it up. But anyways, I've ranted a lot. Hopefully that was helpful in some way. Hopefully these resources are helpful in some way. I've got, thousands of them. So if you enjoy them, use them, share them with people, all that fun stuff. But I am going to get set up for some Fortnite. We're going to click on people's faces and hopefully get some wins. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, you're very welcome. Just being honest. I have a tendency to be brutally honest. I'll tell you a quick story about that. So back when I used to teach elementary band, a kid came up to me one time in the 5th grade band and was like, "Why don't you tell us we sound good?" And I was like, "'Cause you don't." But you will in a few months if you continue to practice. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Yeah, guys, you sound great." You're supposed to sound like a train crashing into a building. I'm not built that way. I'm very honest with it. So if I give a compliment, it's a genuine compliment. But anyways, I'm going to call it here. So I appreciate all the questions. I appreciate people chatting. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Some of your questions were answered. Sweet. I'm good. Just kidding. But anyways, goodbye.